Buying a new Tesla is undoubtedly going to be a very exciting moment for you, but as with any vehicle purchase, it's very important to understand how to properly take care of your car. Otherwise, you could face certain issues with its performance and lifespan. So here are 11 mistakes that you should avoid if you're a Tesla owner, as they could lead to issues with your car's longevity, maintenance, and even the warranty. Alright, so starting with one of the most important aspects of any electric vehicle, we have the battery. And of course, as owners, it's in our best interest to make sure that we're taking care of the battery to maintain its efficiency over time and avoid degradation of its total range. Now, unbeknownst to most new Tesla owners, the way that you charge your vehicle will actually impact its health over time. Similar to how your charging habits will impact the health of your smartphone's battery, which we all know. And what can complicate things with a Tesla though is that depending on the model and type of battery that you have in your vehicle, optimal charging habits will actually vary. So most Teslas are either equipped with an NCA battery, which is short for nickel, cobalt, aluminum, li-ion battery, or some of the new vehicles are now being equipped with an LFP battery, which is short for lithium iron phosphate. And depending on which type of battery that you have equipped in your Tesla, recommended charging parameters to ensure longevity will differ. So if you have an NCA battery, like in my 2021 Tesla Model 3, then Tesla actually recommends that you keep your everyday charging limit at 80%, and to avoid bringing your battery's charge below 20% regularly, which will ensure optimal health and ensure a longer life for your car's battery. In fact, as you can see on the screen of my 2021 Model 3, if you try to set your charge limit to a value above 80%, the car will warn you on screen that charging repeatedly beyond daily driving needs will actually shorten battery life. And for the record, this would actually come in a handful of forms, from direct degradation of the battery's capacity, thus reducing total range available to you over time, to also limiting regenerative braking. And this is because if your battery is full at 100%, the motors aren't going to be using regenerative braking to recharge the batteries. So effectively meaning the car becomes less energy efficient. And you're also going to be using your brakes a lot more, which also leads to quicker brake degradation. So over the past 4 years, I've always set my charge limit to 80% for everyday commuting around the city on my 2021 Model 3, and only ever increase the charge limit to 100% if I'm heading out of town and need that extra range. Now, if your vehicle has an LFP battery though, like my 2024 standard range Model 3, then it's the complete opposite actually, in that Tesla does recommend that you set your charge limit to 100% at all times, even for daily use, and that you should also fully charge to 100% at least one time per week. And by the way, you can check if your Model 3 has an LFP battery by either checking the weight of the vehicle. So if it's over 4,700 pounds, it's an LFP, and if it's around 4,400 pounds, it's going to be an NCA battery. And otherwise, if your image of the battery displays 50% and 100% on screen rather than daily and trip, you have an LFP. So essentially, Tesla's saying that if you have an LFP battery, it should be charged to 100% pretty well, as much as possible. But personally, I'm setting the charge limit to 90% for everyday commuting during the week, and then charging it fully to 100% about once a week, which is mainly to calibrate the LFP battery's estimated range anyways, not to actually help the maintenance of the battery's efficiency and longevity. So go determine which battery you have in your Tesla and then shift your charging habits accordingly. I really hope that helps. Now, similar to the previous point, one thing that isn't recommended for a Tesla and could potentially damage its battery over time is to run it all the way down to 0%, which isn't recommended for electric vehicles at all and could harm it if done repeatedly. In fact, Tesla will warn you on screen when you're reaching a lower charge and recommends that you charge immediately to avoid running out of charge and effectively reaching zero. Additionally, the Model 3 owner's manual indicates that if the battery's charge level falls to 0%, it must be plugged in, and that if you leave it unplugged for an extended period, well, it may not even be possible to charge or use your Model 3 without jump starting or replacing the low voltage battery altogether, which of course we would want to avoid at all costs. What's more is that leaving your Model 3 unplugged for an extended period could also result in permanent battery damage. So all of that to say, although you can technically reach and even drive a couple dozen kilometers at 0%, and I actually have once or twice on road trips, specifically in the winter, well, it is not recommended and should be avoided at all costs. And speaking of the battery, it is really important to make sure that you're preconditioning it when planning on using a supercharger, as this ensures that the battery pack is prepping itself for receiving such high quantities of electricity in a short period of time without damaging it over years of doing so. So this is why it is really important to ensure that you're preconditioning the battery when on your way to a supercharger. And this is done simply by clicking on a supercharger on the screen and then clicking navigate to it. Then you'll see on the screen that it says preconditioning for fast charging. And that is really it. Next up, one thing that you'll often notice on Teslas is that for some reason, almost all of them have curb rash on the rims, which of course damages the vehicle and doesn't look all too great. And this is mainly because the tires tend to be a little bit stretched on Teslas, which leaves the rim exposed and effectively taking the beating rather than the tire if you're rubbing up against a curb. But luckily, if you're aware of this issue, which you are right now because I told you, there are a few things that you can implement to avoid it. So first off, the stock hubcaps that come on the Model 3s at least don't actually fully cover the lip of the rim, leaving them exposed and ready for curb rash. So if you do have the stock aero rims, one of the easiest ways to avoid this is by simply changing the hubcaps for aftermarket ones, like the set that I have on my 2024 Model 3, that not only, in my opinion, look a lot cooler and there are various different ones to choose from, but they also sit above the rim's lip, thus protecting it when parking. And by the way, if you're interested in checking these out for yourself or a handful of other aftermarket hubcaps, you can do so using the link down below in this video's description to get 20% off your order on EV Base, or you can find a handful of them on my Amazon storefront. Additionally, two built-in features that are an absolute must to use when parallel parking a Tesla are the side cameras that pop up when the car is in reverse, along with the side mirrors that turn down a bit, allowing you to better see the curb. So essentially, make sure that you're aware of your surroundings when parking your Tesla and protect your rims with better hubcaps. Moving on, one of the most unique features that comes standard with most EVs, Teslas included here, is the front trunk, or frunk as they're often called, allowing you to store additional items like chargers, windshield washer fluid, and so on. For some reason though, Tesla still hasn't made opening the frunk automatic. Instead, you click on the open button and it sort of unlatches and pops up, waiting for you to open it up manually. The issue here though isn't with opening the frunk, but rather when you're closing it, which I know sounds a bit ridiculous, but unlike with most vehicles where you slam down the front trunk to close it, this is not at all the case with a Tesla, where the hood is really light actually, and Tesla recommends that you close it very delicately by setting it down on the latch and closing it gently by pressing down in the correct spots, which will actually vary depending on the model that you have. For Model 3s, it's on each side of the logo, so pretty straightforward, but needs to be known if you're a new Tesla owner. All right, now one of the most frustrating things that any vehicle owner tends to face at some point is rust, which unfortunately Teslas don't have the best paint quality, which leads to quite a few paint chips and areas that easily develop rust spots, like on my 2021 Model 3 that you can see in these clips. Now, unlike Model Ys that have plastic fairings around the fenders, Model 3s don't have the same protection, meaning any debris from the road directly kicks up and eats away at the paint. Now, I've mentioned this a few times on the channel already, but will mention it again today, as I truly believe this is one of the easiest and cheapest low-hanging fruit that Tesla owners can utilize to protect their vehicle's paint. So for less than 30 bucks, a set of rubber mud flaps that come up above the fender panel will do wonders to protect your paint, especially behind the wheels where rocks and salt are kicking up the most. Additionally, spraying some type of anti-corrosion solution like fluid film around the fenders, exposed bolts, and exposed holes around the car will help extend the lifetime of your vehicle's body and prevent rust. Jumping into the interior of the vehicle, one of the most confusing things for passengers and new Tesla owners is how to actually open the doors from the inside. Like seriously, almost everyone who gets into my car asks me how to get in actually, but also exit, which honestly is quite favorable that they're asking me because opening the doors manually could lead to damage. The thing is, Teslas have an electronic door opening mechanism where when you click on this button right here, the door unlatches electronically and opens slightly while rolling down the window a bit to avoid it getting caught on the trim. It's actually a pretty cool design to maintain the frameless doors, but if you have to open the doors manually due to power outage or any other issue, the problem is that the windows don't actually roll down slightly, which could put strain on the glass. And if you aren't paying attention, closing the door while the glass is up could seriously damage the door trim as well as the glass itself. So make sure that you're aware of this and mention it to your passengers. Mistake number 8 is one that luckily I haven't yet experienced, but many people were quick to mention to me in my tinting window that failing to protect the interior lighting strip on the 2024 Model 3 when tinting or during any other source of water that gets into the inside of the door panel can lead to bubbling of the LED strip and the finish stripping away from it. In fact, here are a couple forum articles on Reddit of people experiencing this problem. So just keep this in mind when and if you do get your windows tinted. Make sure to mention this to the technician who's doing the job and you'll avoid the mistake that I made, which luckily never actually amounted to anything, but this is the last thing that you'd want on your brand new Model 3. And by the way, if you didn't already realize, this is only a problem for the Model 3 Highland that has that interior lighting strip, but I suspect that the upcoming refresh and update to the Model Y will also have this interior lighting strip. Moving on here, Teslas have become extremely popular vehicles for everyday use, which means that you are bound to carry something quite heavy at some point during ownership, right? I have a real estate business, so I've carried tiles, floorings, bags of concrete and other heavy items in my Tesla, but it's important that you're aware of your car's limits. Otherwise, you could damage the suspension and even other components of the vehicle if it is overloaded. Now, you can actually find your specific vehicle's tire load capacity in the door jamb of your vehicle, as seen in this clip, which is the capacity of both my 2021 Model 3 and then my 2024 Model 3. And so effectively, this is going to take into account the weight of passengers as well as cargo. So depending on what the value is for you, subtract the weight of current passengers, so yourself and anyone riding, and then that is going to be the additional payload of your vehicle for anything that you might be carrying within it. And so since every vehicle though has a different payload capacity, I won't give any blanket statements here in this video. Go and look for yourself in the door jamb of your vehicle so that you're aware of how much it can carry. Additionally, something important to mention here, Tesla does not recommend towing a trailer of any sort with the Model 3, at least here in North America, stating that using the Model 3 to tow may void the warranty. Now, I actually looked into this a bit at one point because I wanted to hook up a trailer to the back of my Model 3 to tow my motorcycle. And there are some companies that do actually make hitches designed specifically for the Model 3, but it's kind of a gray area as to whether this will void your warranty or not, or even have insurance implications, since Tesla specifically says not to tow with the Model 3. So unlike in Europe, where you can get a tow package directly from Tesla at the point of purchase, and apparently it's the exact same platform that could tow up to 1,000 kilograms, well, that package isn't available in North America which is something to be aware of. Now, the Model Y does have a towing package where you could theoretically tow up to 3,500 pounds, but keep in mind that this would destroy your battery's range during the towing process due to that extra load and possibly wind resistance. Number 10 here, what about when it comes to repairing and servicing your Tesla vehicle? Well, one of the advantages of Tesla is that they tend to make servicing a relatively straightforward process by being able to book directly within their application and having a conversation with their technicians pretty much in real time. But this also means that Tesla is very particular and picky about who works on their vehicles, especially when it relates to things such as the battery, autopilot system, and other sensors and electronic components that really aren't going to be standard in any other vehicle. So Tesla has a decent warranty on certain aspects of their vehicle, but failing to respect their servicing guidelines could result in voiding your vehicle's warranty, such as mainly if you were to attempt servicing the battery area by non-certified personnel. This is a big no-no, or using the vehicle as a stationary power source, among other things. So I won't go on about this, but do yourself a favor, and if you ever run into issues with your Tesla, start with contacting a service technician to assess the situation. And if you do run into a battery problem, most new vehicles have a good warranty for the battery, which is quite expensive if it does ever need to get changed out, so don't mess around with that. All right, moving on here, one of the more frustrating parts about owning a Tesla is that the instant torque of the vehicle, although fun at times, can lead to tire wear quite a bit quicker than with other vehicles, along with leading to uneven tire tread, like in this video right here, which are the back tires on my 2021 Model 3. So you can see that the wear follows a pattern similar to this chart here, which means a couple of things. Number one, the easiest way to save tire tread on a Tesla is by going into your settings and changing the acceleration or drive mode, whatever they call it, from normal over to chill, which drastically reduces the amount of instant torque and fun, sure, when you accelerate, but this is also going to slow down the wearing process of your tires. Additionally, when you accelerate hard, especially with a rear-wheel drive vehicle, the back of the vehicle tends to crouch down a bit and dig into the road, which often creates a negative camber effect, which over a couple of years of driving like this leads to this uneven tire wear that we're talking about. So if you're preoccupied with tire longevity, ditch the quick accelerations after the first week of getting your Tesla. And another thing that you can do to help with even tire wear is to periodically rotate and align your tires at least once a year or every season when you switch out your winters and summer tires. And finally, yes, we've made it to the end of the video here. One of the simplest ways to damage or very quickly ruin your Tesla is by neglecting to protect the interior adequately, leading to scratches, rips in the upholstery, dirt and hair everywhere, along with salt stains on the carpet, especially if you're in a northern climate. And luckily, this is one of the easiest things to mitigate with a couple of easy to install accessories that you can get from Amazon and other websites. In fact, the accessories that I wouldn't go without are a set of all-weather rubber floor mats like the ones that I have installed in my 2024 Model 3 that are easily washable and protect against that dirt and salt, along with door sill protectors that will create a barrier for salt, dirt, hair, and other debris that gets embedded in the carpet and is almost impossible to clean back to factory. So for a couple $100s, I personally think that these accessories are well worth the money and are kind of non-negotiables actually, as they're going to extend the life and enjoyment of your vehicle for years to come, and also maintain its value a little bit if you want to sell it down the line, and it's not going to be filled with scratches, dings, and rips. And once again, if you're interested in checking any of these accessories out for yourself, you can do so using the link down below in this video's description to head on over to my Amazon storefront, and it also helps support the channel a little bit through receiving a tiny kickback on any purchase you make. So that covers 11 mistakes to avoid with your Tesla vehicle so that you can maintain it in good standing. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button on today's video. If you're interested in any more content about Tesla, check out one of these two videos right here. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.